Hi everyone, this is Dr. Fab Mancini, and here we are at the MAC Fall Convention in Detroit, Michigan. We're so excited because we're launching CHIROTHON. This is our regional segment. CHIROTHON is about really creating kind of like a Jerry Lewis telethon by which we get to raise funds not only from our chiropractic family, our doctors, our CAs, and our spouses, but also our patients and potential patients out there that don't know much about chiropractic, but they want to invest in our profession. So we're very excited because we've been doing these vignettes and we started this morning and it was a big success, and I just want to thank everyone that donated because our total, remember, we're raising over $50,000. That's what we need to raise this weekend, and I know we can do that with your help. And since the last segment, we're at $2,875 based on your generous donation. So first of all, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you because I can tell you that when we invest in chiropractic, we're investing in something that can actually really alter the healthcare system even more than ever. It can help people bring their lives back. It can give people options that right now they're feeling like they're living a life sentence based on their donations. So I just want to say thank you for investing in this amazing profession of ours. And as you know, chiropractic has given us as chiropractors a tremendous lifestyle, not only to raise our families healthy, but also financially to be able to be good providers and support our communities, our churches, our synagogues, and everything. So this segment is actually being sponsored by Eclipse. And look, Eclipse doesn't need any introduction. It's one of the best softwares that we have in chiropractic. And as you know, there are Microsoft Windows PCs and networks available both on standalone and client-server versions. And I just want to say thank you so much, Eclipse. Watch this brief video.
Eclipse Practice Management Software is an all-in-one solution built by experts. A team of chiropractors and computer scientists who have built busy multidisciplinary practices from the ground up. Thousands of practices like yours have trusted Eclipse for over 25 years. And it's topped independent state association surveys for decades. So whether you're on your own or work with a growing team, Eclipse Practice Management Software will help you and your practice focus on what really matters, providing great care to your patients.
So if you're looking right now for a great software for your practice, look no further. Try Eclipse, call them, let them know that you watched their video right here, the CHIROTHON, and find out more information. I'm sure that they would love to answer any of your questions. Well, let's introduce to you, I have the pleasure of introducing to you our next segment. And one of the things that I'm very excited about is because the guest that I'm introducing to you, his name is Leroy Petry. And Leroy is a retired U.S. Army soldier. And I gotta tell you, we've had in the chiropractic, the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, we have always honored our veterans. I mean, in fact, we have Dr. Becky, which became our spokesperson many years ago, a retired general, that really made us understand that chiropractic care is essential for servicemen and women. So we want to honor them, and we want to make sure that they have the ability to get the proper care they need, especially after they sacrifice so much for our freedom, for our safety. Now, let's talk a little bit about Leroy, and I'm going to read a little bit here because he has such a vast bio that I don't want to miss anything. So he received his military highest decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his actions in Afghanistan in 2008, during Operation Enduring Freedom. On May 26, 2008, during the 7th deployment, Petry was a member of a team on a mission to capture the Taliban target. Despite being wounded in both legs by gunfire, Petry continued to fight and to give others. When the grenade landed between him and two other soldiers, Petry grabbed them from and attempted to throw it away from them. He saved the soldiers' lives, but the grenade exploded, severing his right hand. Petry became a second recent living recipient of the Medal of War in Afghanistan in 2011, when he received the award from the U.S. President Barack Obama, opting to re-enlisting despite his injury, Petry remained on active duty in the U.S. Army until his retirement on July 29, 2014. Now, the reason that his story is so important is because we have incredible leaders in our service that put their life on the line for not only their soldiers, but also for us. And chiropractic care had a tremendous impact in his life, and I want you to pay close attention as he shares that story with you. Now, we also had a chiropractic legend that interviewed Leroy, and that is Baron Hogg. And Baron, as you know, has served the profession as an executive director of One Chiropractic. One Chiropractic is a chiropractic most disruptive advocacy organization and is driven to challenge the status quo of the profession. He considers himself a chiropractic biggest groupie, having served in the profession for 26 years. He has developed a unique non-doctor approach through ownership and management of numerous clinics. As a former consultant specializing in coding, documentation, and compliance, Baron has counseled over 1,000 healthcare facilities and employers, evolving a profound understanding of the professional environment. His on-site method of consulting gave him the ability to diagnose and develop systems that most consultants miss. His management and consulting experience, coupled with a strong background in psychology and communication, has made him a compelling speaker, addressing many major events in chiropractic and having the accolades of the most entertaining but educational speaker in the profession. Not only has he become known by his speaking style, but his ability to work all fractions of the profession to bring his unity and clarity and purpose. Now, I gotta say, Baron is truly committed to his profession, but I want you to pay close attention as he interviews one hero among us, and that's Leroy Petry. Watch the video.
Just to get people just a little bit acquainted with you, tell us just a little bit about your service, kind of what led you up to getting the Medal of Honor, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, when I was young, I looked at the military. My mom's cousin was deployed at Desert Storm or Shield at the time, and I wondered why he would risk his life for people that we don't know across the globe. And it really started to answering the questions that he wasn't doing it just for himself or for us. He was doing it for everyone, and so that they could keep the peace here at home and we could enjoy all the freedoms, rights, and everything we love and hold dear here, especially our freedom. When I saw that, I wanted to do that. He inspired me, and we live our lives based off of inspiration, people that come into our lives and become, like you said, we've been friends now for a number of years. You build that relationship.
Yep.
And when I saw that, I wanted to give that back. I said, there's a lot of people I've never met that are doing that for me. I want to give that back to the others I don't know. I only intended to sign up for 4 years. It was prior to global war on terrorism. So it was in 1999. And I didn't know that I didn't have an idea we were going to go to war, but I signed up with the Rangers. I wanted to do the best and train the hardest and be my best. That was the motto: be all you can be, for not yourself, but for the people to your right and left and the ones you were defending. And so when I joined the Rangers, it was a tough and grueling challenge to get there, just like they talk about with the SEALs or any special operations. It's not easy, or else everyone would do it. And with that, shortly thereafter, 9/11 hit, and I found myself going on multiple deployments, 2 to Iraq and 6 to Afghanistan. But in between those deployments and all the way up to leading to the very first deployment, the training was rigorous and hard. A lot of times in the cold, the heat, rain, the snow, all the elements around you just crushing you, and you're still having to perform at your peak. We're talking about climbing into windows, climbing over buildings, jumping out of airplanes, fast roping out of helicopters, lifting weights, doing 2-3 times workouts a day, just to stay in your peak performance, much like professional athletes.
Yeah.
Except they don't wear as much gear or as heavy gear as we do, I don't think, and definitely not as challenging as far as mentally goes, because you're never going to die. But with that physical aspect comes the or with that mental aspect, importantly with it is the physical aspect. As much as we want to do as our bodies age and we take those hits, as you could say, to our body during our training or in war, that we need to recover and recover quickly, because most of us want to stay on the team and we want to continue to deploy. And so for preservation of the force and preservation of the body, I didn't know about chiropractic care until after I got injured in 2009, almost 10 years into my military service. And the way I found out about it was I met chiropractor Tim Novelli, who also heads a Patriot Project, at a random event. And we were in the hotel and we ended up sharing a hotel room because he didn't have a bed. And that's just the kind of guy I am. I offered him a bed.
Great story. Yeah.
He wanted to take it. And so he knew he had to be there, and there was no other means for him to be there for the troops and the veterans and their families the next day. And I watched him set up his table and set up his tent and help everyone sun up to sundown. A lot of times pushing off chow or lunch or whatever, just so that people would bring him food. So he didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And I saw that passion that he had, that I had. I didn't want to leave the military service because I saw the difference we were making on the ground, the stuff that wasn't on TV. Mm-hmm. But it took him a couple of days to convince me, come on, let me adjust you. And I was a little, one of those people that didn't really look at chiropractor like doctors and people had always, some had always told us that, oh, it's a witchcraft, or if they adjust you wrong, they could mess you up. And mm-hmm. having learned more about it and seeing this man's compassion and many others, I learned that they go to school sometimes longer than most doctors, and they don't specialize in one field of the body. They specialize in the entire body. Yeah. And so they can be your one-stop shop for maintenance. Yeah, they can't perform open heart surgery in that, but they're specific. They're not for that. They're different from a physical therapist, and in which they do the muscular and skeletal, and they know where their lane is, and they don't try to cross over into other people's. And I grew that respect for a lot of chiropractors that I've met throughout the years, that they just want to make you better and help. It gives another alternative, being a veteran, to a lot of my fellow service members who have served, the ones who are dealing with pain and issues that don't have to go to the pills or don't want to go to acupuncture, or hyperbaric chamber. And there's so many different things out there. This just gives them another level of platform to try. Yeah. Alternative means to what we always talk about, our opioid epidemic. Mm. And so if we could give them an alternative means that they could feel comfortable with and not have to put more in their system, but keep their body going alive, I think it's great.
Yeah.
As well as taking care of the families for our active duty, and more importantly, the active duty, because I would have went to a chiropractor after every road march, almost after just for routine maintenance. And I had a doctor one time tell me that. He was a retired Army doctor. He said, well, the problem with chiropractors is sometimes you have to keep going back to them. I said, well, that's why you guys put refill at the bottom of those pills.
That's right. You brush your teeth,
trying to get rid of
oil in your car.
I'd rather go to the one where that's not pills.
Yeah, 100%. You know, well, it's funny. You know, I love it. We've had, you know, an awesome opportunity to serve together. You and I've been to DC, I think 3 times together, in different lobbying capacities, and really trying to educate. And for those of you watching this that may not be aware of this, because it's a surprise to a lot of people, but our current military does not allow a chiropractor to serve in the military as a man or woman in uniform in the capacity as a chiropractor. There's no pathway for them to be able to serve their country in the capacity in which they're trained, which is crazy to all of us. I think if you're hearing that for the first time, you would obviously agree. I know, Leroy, you and I have stood in, you know, the Speaker of the House's office and talking, being like, dude, this is crazy. You know, all major sports have chiropractors on their staff now, but yet we don't have that available for our active duty military, which arguably are the most deserving men and women in the world. And so, you know, that's part of the challenge that we've had, is getting people to understand, as you said earlier, the lane that we actually operate in. So talk a little bit about, because you've had a lot of conversations for us on this topic. Like what do you see as the biggest barrier for the general public to better understand chiropractic?
I think the trust, obviously, with anything. You go to somebody you don't know, building that trust is the very first thing in that relationship. And for us, being military and veterans, the best thing we can see is something comfortable that we trust. And that's seeing another service member in that uniform that says, hey, I'm also a chiropractor. I'm here to help you. Mm-hmm. My chiropractor is my second job. I'm in the military first. And that's why we build that trust off of seeing them in that green, what we call green suiters. But having that relationship, and like one chiropractor may not be the one for you. You may have to try multiple chiropractors till you find the one that matches for you. Same with doctors. Mm-hmm. Same with healthcare in general. That's why you hear stories of nightmare stories of the VA or any of these big entities. Well, they're not the only one. Right. And that sometimes it's our responsibility to advocate for ourselves. And I know that I am always looking for other recruiting other chiropractors for the Patriot Project until the government steps up and says, yes, let's have an active duty service member. I was talking with the past prior Surgeon General for the Army in an open forum. That question was raised, what it would take for us to get an active duty chiropractor. And she had stated to the open forum that all it would take is all 4 Surgeon Generals in the branches agreeing that that's something that they want. Well, it's something that the troops want. It's something that the families want. And it's something that they need and that they deserve. And I will continue to support until we get that capability there, because then that also gives us not only the chiropractor at the home station, CONUS, but if we end up going on another deployment or the troops that are deployed overseas, it gives them an ability to have that chiropractic care downrange.
Yeah, Tim Novelli, we've talked about Dr. Novelli as the founder of the Patriot Project, and he uses a quote that I've stolen and used a number of times, in that, right now in our Olympic team, there are more chiropractors than any other type of physician on the Olympic medical staff, because of our effects to keeping people at their peak performance, reducing the number of injuries, and then increasing or reducing the recovery time for those that get injured. Like, these are all statistics that have been mathematically evaluated, which is why there's so many chiropractors on the Olympic team. And so, when you look at a world where milliseconds are the difference between gold and silver versus our military, where milliseconds are the difference between life and death, it's crazy sometimes how we get to this place where we're fighting as hard as we're fighting to try to get the military to adapt chiropractic into its regimen, right? All we're asking for is for them to give us an opportunity for the men and women to choose the type of care they want for themselves. But the fact that TRICARE doesn't cover it, that it's not available to any active duty, it's in the VA, but it's limited. At best, there's one chiropractor for an entire VA hospital. It's just been an incredible journey to learn and understand how the Department of Defense and the different branches of the military actually operate, which is why you have been such of absolute godsend, especially now with your role with the Medal of Honor Society. And for those of you that don't know what that means, everyone that's received a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, they're automatically inducted into the society. You have 74 living right now?
65.
60. Oh, wow. It's down to 65. Wow.
We have one, we lost our last World War II recipient last year. We have one Korean War recipient, and there's 14 or 16 of us under the age of 80.
Wow. Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a tough role with chiropractic care. I mean, even my son, who's at home, college age student, still dependent, is having to go outside to get the chiropractic care he needs, because it's such a tough to get into Madigan. At the facility we have where we live, there's one chiropractor. Over 50,000 troops at Joint Base Lewis McChord. They're lucky if they could get in. Or 35,000, somewhere in that area. But it's a lot, and for one person, and more than likely we tell them go see the physical therapist, which isn't the same. And Gary Luttrell, fellow Medal of Honor recipient, Command Sergeant Major, good friend, not pertaining to the chiropractic care, but it can be applied the same way. He told me one time that if you deny the troops the training that they need, then you're denying them their basic right to live. Well, that goes along with not only their training, but with their care. And it's not only our troops' responsibility to advocate for themselves. We need to be there as veterans and civilians to support them, because they're doing it for us.
Yeah, 100%. And you know General Becky Halstead, she was in the Army, actually one of the first females to ever graduate West Point. And I love her story because she was the first female to make it to brigadier general status. And she had to retire early because of medical issues, found chiropractic a month and a half after she separated from the military, fixed those issues, and just got livid that wasn't available to her while she was in service, because she wouldn't have retired as early. And we know that that's a big issue right now in the military, is early separation due to non-combat related musculoskeletal issues. It's one of the recruitments down. We have more separation due to the, like you were talking about before, the level of training that you have, the level of working out, the both mental, physical, and chemical stress that our military is under, to not try to have available to them, you know, everything that's possible, especially for a profession that's literally screaming to get involved. We have so many chiropractors that would enlist in our military right now if they could serve as a chiropractor within the branches, right? So it's a neat opportunity in history, I think, for us to be able to beat this drum. All of you that are watching in CHIROTHON, the reason we're doing this is to create awareness for people to understand where chiropractic fits in today's healthcare delivery system. And so we love our warriors like Leroy, and there's so many other. And Leroy, you've been phenomenal at spreading the word through the Congressional Medal of Honor recipient. I believe the Patriot Project now has 9 or 10 different Congressional Medal of Honor recipients that are involved.
Close to 13, and it's actually the most I've seen involved with one organization outside of the Medal of Honor Society.
Which is huge. I mean, you think of the big military groups like Wounded Warriors or some of these others that get a lot of press. The fact that the chiropractic group has more accumulated than any of these other groups. And that goes to what you said about Dr. Novelli and his genuine desire to serve. You know, the Patriot Project is really a group of chiropractors around the country that are willing to treat Medal of Honor recipients, Gold Star families, Purple Hearts, and active duty at no cost, because they don't have access to it any other way. And so we're wanting to make sure that care is available to these men and women and their families as necessary. So we believe there's going to be a day, right? We're going to keep pounding that. We're not going anywhere.
And I want to say a big thank you to those men and women, the doctors that have joined the Patriot Project and stepped up as patriots to fill the gap until it's fixed.
Yeah, they're an amazing group of people. All right. Well, Leroy, I want to be sensitive of your time, so I'm going to give you the last minute. Anything else you kind of want to say? This is your kind of platform. You're so good with your words and your heart. So I want to, those watching, taking the time to view this, what do you have for them today?
I too was a little bashful about that chiropractic care at first. If you haven't tried one or you haven't talked to one, it's a good option. A lot of times that old saying of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Well, Leroy's philosophy is you hold that horse's head underwater long enough, he'll take a drink, and then the horse will decide whether they like the water or not.
I've never heard that. I love it.
you gotta be humble inside, and you gotta be that horse.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just gotta take a drink, and you might like it, and it might be better for everyone. And say, hey, I didn't want to taste it, but I tasted it, and it's good.
Yeah.
You look at the it goes with we live out of fear sometimes of the unknown. There's a lot of things that come out from our government or out from other people that we sometimes question the intent, but they all look out. Most of it is with our good intentions and our wellness in mind. And so with this is coming from the bottom up, which is even better. It's from the people and what the people want.
Yeah.
So I will continue to support chiropractic care and the Patriot Project as much as I can. But thank you for doing this, and thanks for all you do. My best to all the fellow patriots and Americans out there, and to the men and women serving, not only in our armed forces, but in our communities. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Leroy. Again, thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment to, again, you're still serving, you know, in your capacity to make sure that your fellow honor recipients, I know you do a lot for our active duty as well. That's one of the things I've loved about you. Every time I've been with you in DC, you go out of your way to make sure that you're talking to the new recruits, or you're finding those that are serving and go out of your way to let them know how much you appreciate them. So your heart is is as big as it appears to be. And so we love you. And those of you watching, thank you for taking the time to watching, this video with the CHIROTHON. Again, our mission is to get the world to better understand how chiropractic fits into a healthcare delivery system. We believe that the body can be a self-healing, self-regulating organism. All we're trying to do is remove those interferences, allow people's bodies to do what it was designed to do, and therefore give you a better health outcome. So we hope you can give chiropractic a chance. Continue to look at the other presentations throughout this CHIROTHON. We appreciate you. God bless you, and we'll talk to you later.
I love you too.
Well, that was so inspirational. I tell you, thank you, Baron. Thank you, Leroy. That touched my heart. And for those of you, so you can evaluate that the power that we have in chiropractic is so good, but we need to share it with more people. So if you haven't made your donation, I want you to click right here. Make your donation right now. We're going to be right back in a few minutes, and we have an amazing guest for you that you do not want to miss. Thank you so much for all of your support, and we will see you in a few minutes.